Hello there, and welcome to another peaceful journey through the wonders of human exploration. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've had a long day filled with earthbound concerns, or perhaps you're the kind of person who finds comfort in drifting off to extraordinary stories rather than counting sheep. Either way, tonight's gentle expedition is crafted just for you. You have nothing to do but rest. Let your breathing slow, your muscles relax, and your mind float free as if gravity itself has loosened its hold. Because tonight, we're not simply stargazing from the ground. We're drifting alongside the remarkable humans who call the cosmos their temporary home. Astronauts, these extraordinary individuals who wake each morning not to sunrise through a bedroom window, but to 15 sunrises racing past their orbital home every 24 hours. We'll explore the quiet rhythms of their days, from the moment they open their eyes in sleeping bags tethered to walls, to the careful choreography of eating, exercising, and simply being human in a place where up and down have no meaning. You'll discover tonight how these space travelers adapt to challenges we never consider on Earth, how they sleep when every 90 minutes brings another dawn, how they maintain their bodies when bones and muscles forget the weight of gravity, how they find moments of joy and connection while floating 400 kilometers above the world they left behind. Some of what you hear may surprise you, or at the very least spark gentle curiosity as you drift towards sleep. And just before we begin our quiet ascent, if these calm explorations help you unwind or give you a peaceful way to end your day, consider liking and subscribing. It helps other restless souls find their way here too, one dreamer at a time. Now let's begin our gentle journey into the extraordinary, ordinary lives of those who dance with the stars. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station live by a schedule so precise that every moment is planned down to 5-minute increments. This isn't the rigid structure of bureaucracy, but rather the careful choreography required when every second represents enormous investment and scientific opportunity. A team in mission control called Ops Planner maps out each astronaut's day like composers writing a symphony, balancing the delicate needs of human biology with the demands of cutting-edge research. Their workday stretches from 6 in the morning to 9:30 at night, Greenwich Mean Time, a rhythm that honors the ancient cycles encoded in human DNA, despite floating in an environment where traditional time has no meaning. Within this structured day lie 3 meals and 2.5 hours of exercise, each activity adapted to the weightless ballet of orbital life. The precision isn't harsh, but protective, creating islands of routine in an ocean of extraordinary circumstances. Like gardeners tending their most precious plants, mission planners nurture the daily rhythms that keep astronauts grounded, even as they soar through space at 17,500 miles per hour. The concept of a day becomes beautifully abstract for those living in Earth's embrace, yet beyond its surface. Every 24 hours, astronauts witness 15 dawns as their orbital home speeds around the world, each sunrise painting the curved horizon with familiar colors in an utterly unfamiliar rhythm. Despite this constant cycle of light and shadow occurring every 90 minutes, the human body's internal clock still whispers for the familiar 24-hour heartbeat that has guided life on Earth for millions of years. Human beings carry within their cells the memory of countless generations who woke with the sun and slept under stars, circadian rhythms wired so deeply into biology that even the vast emptiness of space cannot completely silence them. Mission planners learned early that respecting these ancient rhythms wasn't optional but essential. Any other arrangement would leave crews living in a state of permanent temporal displacement, their minds and bodies constantly seeking a ground that no longer existed beneath their feet. While witnessing a sunrise every 90 minutes might sound like poetry, it can make maintaining regular sleep patterns feel like trying to catch water in a net. Astronauts anchor themselves to Greenwich Mean Time, a compromise between the mission control centers in Houston and Moscow that reflects the beautifully international nature of space exploration, where boundaries dissolve and humanity works as one. Morning routines in space begin much like they do on Earth, but with fascinating adaptations to an environment where water forms perfect spheres and hair floats like seagrass in a gentle current. Once an astronaut emerges from their sleep station, their morning needs remain surprisingly familiar, though the methods of meeting them transform into something resembling a carefully choreographed dance with physics. Personal hygiene becomes an art form, requiring specialized equipment designed specifically for the weightless environment, where every drop of water must be captured and guided rather than simply falling away. Astronauts wash their hair with rinseless shampoo, a product originally developed for space that later found its way into hospitals and camping stores on Earth. They take sponge baths using 2 washcloths, one for washing and one for rinsing, while water and soap suds cling to their skin in ways that would seem magical if witnessed on Earth. The excess water doesn't drip away, but must be suctioned into wastewater tanks, turning even the simple act of cleaning into a lesson in fluid dynamics and conservation. The development of rinseless shampoo illustrates how innovations born from the extreme requirements of space often find their way back to Earth, improving life in hospitals, remote locations, and anywhere water is precious. This gentle exchange between space and ground, where solutions flow both ways, reminds us that exploration benefits not just the explorers, but everyone they leave behind. Using the bathroom in space transforms one of humanity's most private and basic needs into a complex engineering challenge that requires both technical precision and human dignity. The space station toilet works like a sophisticated vacuum cleaner, with fans that create airflow to guide waste away from the body in an environment where gravity cannot assist natural processes. Astronauts position themselves using leg restraints, not unlike safety equipment on a roller coaster, ensuring they remain properly aligned with the system that keeps them clean and healthy. The toilet stalls on the International Space Station feature seats familiar to Earth dwellers, but the similarities end there. Everything must be actively suctioned, because without gravity's helping hand, waste would simply float, creating both practical and health hazards. Urine is collected through a hose system, while solid waste is managed through careful airflow that draws everything into sealed containers. A curtain provides privacy in place of a traditional door, and fortunately, the constant hum of air conditioning fans, life support systems, and the toilet motor itself creates enough background noise to maintain acoustic privacy. This acoustic blanket, born from necessity rather than design, helps preserve the psychological comfort that comes from private moments, even in humanity's most public scientific endeavor. The toilet represents one of the most practical yet sophisticated pieces of equipment on the station, embodying the delicate balance between human needs and the harsh realities of survival in an environment that follows none of Earth's familiar rules. Physical exercise aboard the International Space Station serves as both medicine and meditation, a daily ritual that fights against the human body's enthusiastic adaptation to weightlessness. On Earth, even standing still requires muscles and bones to resist gravity, maintaining posture through countless unconscious adjustments. In space, however, where gravity whispers rather than commands, the body quickly learns it no longer needs to support itself, and muscles and bones begin to weaken with alarming efficiency. This adaptation, while initially feeling liberating to astronauts who describe the joy of effortless floating, can become dangerous over time. Bones lose density, muscles atrophy, and the cardiovascular system adapts to an environment where it no longer needs to pump blood against gravity's constant pull. Therefore, astronauts dedicate approximately 2 hours every day to exercise, not as a luxury or preference, but as a medical requirement ensuring they can safely return to Earth's gravitational embrace. The exercise equipment aboard the space station represents millions of dollars of engineering designed to simulate the resistance and cardiovascular challenges that Earth provides naturally. Like the old Russian Mir station, the International Space Station features a treadmill, though astronauts must strap themselves down to prevent their own running motion from launching them away from the machine. The image of someone running at 17,500 miles per hour while strapped to a treadmill orbiting Earth captures the beautiful absurdity of maintaining human health in an utterly inhuman environment. The station also houses an exercise bike and resistance equipment for weight training, each piece carefully designed to provide the muscle and bone stress that prevents the body from forgetting its earthbound strength. Astronauts work out using specialized harnesses and bungee cords that create artificial weight, their bodies learning to push and pull against resistance in 3 dimensions rather than just fighting the single downward force they knew on Earth. Some astronauts, like NASA's Suni Williams, during her unexpected 9-month stay, incorporate exercise into their morning routine, waking at 5:30 GMT to spend 2 hours running, cycling, and weightlifting before beginning their workday at 7:30. This discipline becomes a form of temporal anchor, a familiar ritual that connects them to the rhythms of their earthbound lives, while their bodies adapt to an environment that challenges every assumption about human existence. Exercise also serves purposes beyond physical maintenance. The activity helps relieve what space medicine professionals call the space snuffles, a condition that occurs when body fluids, no longer pulled downward by gravity, accumulate in the head and upper torso. This redistribution of fluids creates not just physical discomfort, but can affect cognitive function and overall well-being, making exercise an important countermeasure for both physical and mental health. Interestingly, many astronauts report feeling fully rested on only about 6 hours of sleep per day, even though NASA schedules 8 to 8.5 hours for rest. Some specialists believe this occurs because the body expends less energy in weightlessness, as muscles don't work as hard to maintain posture and movement. This observation suggests that human energy expenditure patterns change dramatically in microgravity, potentially offering insights into how our bodies manage resources and recovery under different gravitational conditions. Sleep in the cosmic environment presents challenges that have required innovative solutions and continue to be subjects of ongoing research. Sleeping quarters aboard the International Space Station are intimate spaces about the size of shower stalls, private telephone booths floating in the vast cathedral of space. Astronauts slip into sleeping bags that are strapped or zipped to walls, surfaces that could just as easily serve as floors or ceilings in an environment where such distinctions become meaningless. In the weightless environment of the International Space Station, astronauts cannot lie down to sleep because there is no meaningful up or down. Any surface can serve any purpose, and astronauts can theoretically sleep anywhere, though weak gravity means they might gradually float away during their rest, if not properly secured. Most astronauts choose to sleep in designated crew quarters, personal sleeping compartments that offer both privacy and safety, though some prefer to secure their sleeping bags to any available surface throughout the station. The need for physical restraint during sleep represents one of many adaptations required for space living, as astronauts must become comfortable with being secured in place throughout the night. This isn't imprisonment, but protection, ensuring they wake up where they intended rather than drifting through the station like sleepy ghosts. The flexibility to sleep on any surface demonstrates the three-dimensional nature of life in microgravity, where traditional concepts of bedroom, floor, and bed dissolve into a more fluid understanding of rest and space. The challenge of maintaining proper sleep hygiene extends far beyond finding a comfortable position, encompassing the delicate balance of lighting, noise, and air circulation in an environment where the familiar rules of physics no longer apply. Sleep spots must be chosen with the precision of an architect, somewhere in direct alignment with a ventilation fan, because the gentle airflow that might feel drafty becomes essential for survival. In the absence of gravity, warm air doesn't rise naturally, which means astronauts in poorly ventilated areas can find themselves gradually surrounded by an invisible bubble of their own exhaled carbon dioxide. This seemingly simple oversight can lead to oxygen starvation, causing astronauts to wake with splitting headaches and gasping for air, their bodies crying out for the life-giving element that floats just beyond their reach. Brain cells, those delicate architects of consciousness, can begin to suffer damage in less than 5 minutes without adequate oxygen, making proper sleep positioning not just a matter of comfort, but of survival itself. The carbon dioxide that astronauts naturally exhale could form an invisible cocoon around their heads, a deadly embrace that demonstrates how even the most fundamental biological processes become complex engineering challenges in space. Most astronauts learn to sleep near air vents, the gentle mechanical breathing of the station becoming their lullaby and their lifeline. This positioning ensures that the invisible threat of carbon dioxide accumulation never has the chance to build its silent trap around their dreaming minds. The stakes involved in such basic decisions underscore how living in space transforms even the most automatic human functions into conscious choices, requiring constant vigilance and understanding. The acoustic environment of the International Space Station creates a unique soundscape that astronauts must learn to navigate each night. The constant operation of fans, air filters, and life support systems fills the station with a steady mechanical symphony that some crew members compare to living inside a giant, benevolent vacuum cleaner. This continuous hum, registering at about 72 decibels, equivalent to highway traffic heard from 15 meters away, initially seems like it would make rest impossible. Yet something remarkable happens over time. Most astronauts gradually adapt to this mechanical lullaby, much like city dwellers learn to find comfort in urban sounds that would keep rural visitors awake all night. The background noise of systems dedicated to keeping them alive begins to feel reassuring rather than intrusive, a constant reminder that their technological cocoon continues its faithful work while they rest. Some astronauts prefer earplugs initially, but many eventually find the steady hum becomes part of their sleep ritual, a familiar comfort in an utterly unfamiliar place. Space itself remains perfectly silent, but spacecraft definitely are not. The International Space Station travels at 17,100 miles per hour, fast enough for its crew to witness 15 or 16 sunrises every 24 hours. This creates a unique sensory contradiction where astronauts experience both the profound silence of the cosmos beyond their walls and the constant mechanical conversation of the systems that sustain their lives within. They wear earplugs to combat excessive noise and face masks to block the bright light of frequent sunrises, creating their own small islands of sensory control in an environment that challenges every assumption about night and day. The quality and quantity of sleep experienced by astronauts reveals fascinating insights into human adaptation and the persistent challenges of maintaining circadian rhythms in space. Research consistently shows that astronauts' sleep quality and duration while in space falls significantly short of what they experience on Earth, despite being scheduled for 8 to 8.5 hours of rest each night. Current spaceflight data demonstrates that accuracy, response time, and recall tasks all suffer when crews experience sleep loss, work overload, and the constant battle against circadian disruption. Data reveals that crew members on space station missions obtain significantly less sleep during spaceflight compared to their first week after returning to Earth, suggesting that simple adaptation may not be sufficient to overcome the fundamental challenges of sleeping in microgravity. Astronauts frequently battle the effects of sleep deprivation and circadian rhythm disruption, conditions that can lead to mood changes, weakened immunity, elevated blood pressure, poor balance, and other concerning effects that compromise both individual well-being and mission safety. The persistence of sleep disruption throughout entire missions highlights one of the ongoing frontiers in space medicine, where the gap between scheduled sleep time and actual rest achieved represents more than simple fatigue. It speaks to the profound ways that removing Earth's gravitational anchor affects not just our bodies, but our fundamental rhythms of consciousness and rest, those deep patterns that evolved over millions of years under the steady pull of our home planet. The historical journey of sleeping in space began with pioneering moments that laid the groundwork for everything astronauts experience today. In 1963, Gordon Cooper piloted the longest and final Mercury spaceflight during a 34-hour mission that made him the first American to spend an entire day in space and the first to sleep beyond Earth's atmosphere. Though Cooper achieved this historic first for American space exploration, Soviet cosmonaut German Titov had already proven that humans could sleep in space during his flight on August 6, 1961. Titov's experience aboard Vostok 2, orbiting Earth 17 times during his 25-hour flight, provided crucial early insights into the challenges of space sleep. During one revolution around Earth, Titov overslept and upon waking discovered that his hands, unfettered by restraints, were floating freely and threatening to accidentally activate spacecraft controls. This moment of drowsy vulnerability taught him to fasten his hands with straps before returning to sleep, a lesson that highlighted the importance of proper preparation and restraint systems for sleeping safely in microgravity. After his flight, Titov noted that while sleeping in space was definitely possible, it required careful preparation and adaptation. His pioneering experience demonstrated that the human body could rest in weightlessness, but not without thoughtful engineering solutions and conscious adjustments to behaviors that Earth dwellers take for granted. These early lessons continue to inform spacecraft design today, showing how the courage of early space pioneers directly benefits every astronaut who follows in their orbital footsteps. Food and nutrition in the space environment represent a fascinating intersection where technology meets psychology, culture, and the fundamental human need for comfort and connection. Aboard the International Space Station, meals serve purposes far beyond simple nutrition, becoming opportunities for crew members to gather, relax, share stories, and connect with the diverse cultures represented in their orbital home. These shared dining experiences provide crucial moments for crew bonding and cultural exchange in an environment where familiar comforts are precious and rare. The menu aboard the International Space Station includes more than 100 items, ranging from vegetables and fruits to pre-prepared meals and desserts, with even familiar condiments like ketchup and mustard available to add touches of home to their orbital dining experience. There are 3 meals per day, plus snacks available at any time, ensuring astronauts receive at least 2,500 calories daily to maintain their health and energy levels, while their bodies adapt to the unique demands of microgravity living. This abundance and variety represent a dramatic evolution from the limited and often unappetizing food options available to early space travelers, who squeezed paste from tubes much like toothpaste, prioritizing survival over any semblance of culinary pleasure. Today's space food system reflects decades of research into both nutritional science and human psychology, recognizing that providing astronauts with delicious, varied meals helps reduce stress, maintain morale, and support the peak performance required for complex scientific work. Daily caloric requirements for long-duration space missions are calculated with the same precision used for athletic training, taking into account each astronaut's age, gender, body weight, and mission demands. For example, a 45-year-old man weighing 70 kilograms requires approximately 2,875 kilocalories per day, while a 35-year-old woman weighing 50 kilograms needs about 2,200 kilocalories daily. These figures remain remarkably similar to Earth-based requirements, suggesting that while the environment changes dramatically, basic human metabolic needs remain relatively constant across gravitational conditions. When astronauts perform spacewalks or other particularly demanding extravehicular activities, their caloric intake increases by an additional 500 kilocalories to support the extra physical and mental demands of working in the vacuum of space. This personalized approach to space nutrition recognizes that maintaining health in the cosmos requires the same attention to individual differences that we apply to nutrition on Earth. Just adapted for an environment where every meal floats and every bite must be carefully managed to prevent crumbs from drifting into sensitive equipment. The evolution of space food tells a remarkable story of human ingenuity and our persistent desire to maintain dignity and pleasure, even in the most extreme circumstances. When Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space on April 12, 1961, he also became the first person to eat beyond Earth's atmosphere, consuming beef and liver paste squeezed from aluminum tubes, followed by chocolate sauce delivered through the same decidedly unappetizing method. This historic first meal established the early approach to space nutrition, where practicality trumped palatability and survival took precedence over any consideration of culinary enjoyment. The comparison of early space food to toothpaste effectively captures both the necessity and the rather grim reality of those pioneering meals, where astronauts accepted that nourishment would come in forms that bore little resemblance to the comforting meals they remembered from Earth. From those humble and rather unpleasant beginnings, space food has evolved into something approaching the varied, flavorful diet that astronauts enjoy today. A transformation that reflects not just technological advancement, but a growing understanding of how important familiar tastes and textures are to human well-being, especially when everything else about daily existence has been fundamentally altered by the weightless environment of space. The preparation and consumption of food in space requires a complete reimagining of cooking, eating, and even the most basic assumptions about how meals work. Water doesn't pour in microgravity. It forms perfect floating spheres that drift like liquid planets through the station's atmosphere. Salt and pepper can't be sprinkled because the granules would float away and potentially damage sensitive equipment or irritate astronauts' eyes and respiratory systems. Instead, these seasonings come in liquid form, carefully contained and dispensed drop by controlled drop. Heating food becomes an exercise in patience and precision, with specially designed food warmers that use conduction rather than convection, since hot air doesn't rise in weightlessness. Astronauts must secure their meals to prevent them from floating away mid-bite, using magnetic trays and utensils designed with loops and Velcro attachments. Every aspect of dining requires conscious thought and deliberate action, transforming what was once an automatic process into a mindful ritual of survival and sustenance. The psychological impact of familiar flavors cannot be overstated in an environment where almost everything else feels alien. Astronauts often request specific comfort foods from their home countries, not just for nutrition, but for the emotional anchor these tastes provide. A spoonful of properly seasoned rice or a familiar dessert can transport someone temporarily back to Earth, providing a moment of psychological respite from the constant awareness that they're hurtling through the void at impossible speeds. Water in space behaves like liquid magic, forming perfect spheres that would delight children and challenge physicists on Earth. Astronauts drink through specially designed pouches with straws, or by catching floating droplets directly in their mouths, a skill that requires practice and often results in entertaining failures during the learning process. The absence of gravity means that liquids don't settle in the stomach the way they do on Earth, sometimes causing a sensation of fullness that can be misleading or uncomfortable. Rehydrating food becomes an art form requiring precise measurements and timing. Many space foods arrive dehydrated and must be carefully rehydrated with controlled amounts of water, mixed thoroughly to ensure even distribution of moisture throughout the meal. This process demands patience that Earth dwellers rarely need to exercise when preparing food, as astronauts must wait for water to be absorbed evenly rather than simply pouring and mixing as they would at home. The social dynamics of shared meals in space take on special significance when crew members represent different nations and cultures. Astronauts often share traditional foods from their home countries, creating informal cultural exchanges that build understanding and friendship in ways that formal diplomatic meetings rarely achieve. These culinary exchanges become bridges between different approaches to life, work, and exploration, demonstrating how food serves as a universal language even 400 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Waste management extends beyond the bathroom to every aspect of daily life aboard the International Space Station, including food consumption. Every crumb must be accounted for and contained, as floating debris can damage equipment, clog air filters, or create hazards for crew members. Astronauts eat carefully, using techniques developed through experience to minimize waste while still enjoying their meals. Cleanup after eating requires specialized tools and procedures that would seem excessive on Earth, but are essential for maintaining a safe living environment in space. The rhythm of mealtimes provides crucial structure to days that otherwise lack the natural markers of sunrise and sunset that humans have used to organize their lives for millennia. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner become temporal anchors that help maintain psychological stability and social cohesion among crew members who might otherwise lose track of time in an environment where conventional day and night cycles have no meaning. Personal hygiene in space extends far beyond the morning routine, encompassing daily practices that require constant attention and specialized techniques. Brushing teeth becomes an exercise in fluid management, as toothpaste and saliva cannot simply be spit into a sink, but must be carefully contained and disposed of. Astronauts use edible toothpaste that can be safely swallowed, eliminating the need for rinsing and spitting in an environment where such actions could create floating hazards. Shaving in space requires electric razors connected to vacuum systems that immediately capture cut whiskers before they can drift away and potentially be inhaled or interfere with equipment. The simple act of cutting hair becomes a two-person operation, with one astronaut wielding scissors while another operates a vacuum system to capture every strand as it's cut. These procedures, which would seem elaborate and unnecessary on Earth, become essential safety measures in an environment where the smallest debris can cause significant problems. Nail trimming follows similar protocols, with astronauts carefully containing every clipping to prevent them from floating into air circulation systems or electronic equipment. The attention to detail required for such basic personal care tasks illustrates how living in space demands conscious awareness of actions that Earth dwellers perform automatically and carelessly. Laundry in space presents challenges that have yet to be fully solved, as washing clothes with water in microgravity would create chaos and potentially dangerous conditions. Instead, astronauts wear clothes until they become too soiled to continue using, then pack them into cargo ships that burn up during re-entry to Earth's atmosphere. This disposable approach to clothing means astronauts must carefully ration their garments and plan their wardrobe needs months in advance. The absence of natural cleaning processes that Earth dwellers take for granted means that astronauts must be particularly mindful of personal cleanliness and hygiene. Without gravity to help remove dead skin cells, dirt, and oils, the human body requires more active cleaning to maintain health and comfort. This increased attention to personal care becomes another daily ritual that connects astronauts to their humanity while adapting to an utterly inhuman environment. The psychological aspects of maintaining personal appearance in space serve purposes beyond simple cleanliness or vanity. Looking and feeling clean helps astronauts maintain their sense of self and dignity in conditions that constantly challenge normal human experience. The familiar routines of washing, grooming, and caring for their bodies provide psychological comfort and continuity with their earthbound lives. Work aboard the International Space Station encompasses an extraordinary range of activities that would challenge the most versatile professionals on Earth. Astronauts serve simultaneously as scientists, engineers, maintenance workers, test subjects, and equipment operators, often switching between these roles multiple times throughout a single day. Their work schedule includes conducting experiments that could lead to medical breakthroughs, repairing sophisticated equipment that keeps them alive, and serving as subjects in studies examining how the human body adapts to long-term weightlessness. The scientific experiments conducted aboard the station range from growing crystals that form more perfectly in microgravity to studying how flames behave without gravity to shape their structure. Astronauts monitor plant growth experiments that could inform future missions to Mars, conduct medical research on bone density and muscle mass changes, and perform materials science investigations that may lead to stronger, lighter alloys for use on Earth and in future spacecraft. Equipment maintenance becomes a constant concern when replacement parts cannot be ordered from a local supplier and delivery takes months of planning and rocket launches. Astronauts must be able to diagnose problems, fabricate temporary solutions, and perform repairs on systems ranging from life support equipment to scientific instruments worth millions of dollars. They often work with tools and procedures that didn't exist when they completed their training, requiring rapid learning and adaptation to new challenges. The station itself serves as both laboratory and home, requiring the same kind of regular maintenance that any complex building needs, but with the added complications of microgravity and the inability to simply call a repair service. Astronauts clean air filters, update computer systems, check safety equipment, and perform countless other maintenance tasks that keep their orbital home functioning properly. Communication with Earth provides both professional coordination and personal connection, though the technical limitations of space-to-ground communications create unique challenges. Radio signals take time to travel between the station and ground control, creating delays in conversations that require astronauts and ground personnel to develop new communication rhythms. Sometimes the station passes beyond the range of communication satellites, creating periods of radio silence that can last for extended periods. During these communication windows, astronauts coordinate with multiple mission control centers around the world, receiving instructions, reporting on experiments, and discussing any problems or concerns that have arisen. The international nature of the space station means that crew members must sometimes communicate in languages other than their native tongues, adding another layer of complexity to their daily work routines. Personal communication with family and friends on Earth becomes precious during these scheduled contact periods. Astronauts can make phone calls, send emails, and even participate in video conferences, though technical limitations and scheduling constraints mean that staying in touch with loved ones requires careful planning and patience. The delay and occasional interruption of these communications can make maintaining relationships challenging, adding emotional stress to the already demanding experience of living in space. The view from space provides a unique perspective that profoundly affects almost everyone who experiences it, though the constant presence of this extraordinary vista can become surprisingly routine during long missions. Earth appears as a brilliant blue marble suspended in infinite black, with no visible borders between countries and weather patterns that swirl and flow across continents like living artwork. City lights at night create glowing webs of human activity, while aurora displays paint the upper atmosphere with sheets of green and red light. Astronauts often report that seeing Earth from space fundamentally changes their perspective on human conflicts, environmental issues, and the interconnectedness of all life on the planet. The absence of visible political boundaries from orbital altitude makes national disputes seem arbitrary and small, while the thinness of Earth's atmosphere becomes startlingly apparent when viewed edge-on against the black of space. Photography from space serves both scientific and artistic purposes, with astronauts documenting changes in Earth's surface, weather patterns, and human activity, while also capturing images of breathtaking beauty that inspire people around the world. The technical challenges of photography in space include compensating for the station's high speed, managing reflections from windows, and dealing with extreme contrasts between the bright Earth and the dark cosmos. The psychological impact of this constant view of Earth varies among astronauts, with some finding it endlessly fascinating, while others learn to focus on their work and treat the spectacular vista as simply the environment in which they happen to be living. This adaptation illustrates the remarkable flexibility of human perception and attention, as even the most extraordinary experiences can become part of normal routine given sufficient time and exposure. Spacewalks represent the most extreme extension of human presence beyond Earth's protective embrace, requiring astronauts to venture outside their orbital home while wearing only a specialized suit between themselves and the vacuum of space. These extravehicular activities demand months of preparation, with astronauts practicing underwater in giant pools that simulate the weightless conditions they'll encounter outside the station. The spacesuits themselves are marvels of engineering, serving as personal spacecraft that provide life support, protection from radiation and micrometeoroids, and communication systems while allowing enough mobility for complex manual tasks. Each suit contains multiple backup systems for critical functions, as any failure could prove fatal in an environment where rescue is impossible and return to safety depends entirely on the suit's continued operation. Preparing for a spacewalk begins hours before astronauts actually exit the station with extensive checks of all the suit systems, tools, and procedures. The airlock must be carefully depressurized to match the vacuum of space, a process that takes time and cannot be rushed without risking decompression sickness, similar to what deep-sea divers experience when ascending too quickly. Once outside, astronauts work in an environment that alternates between the blazing heat of direct sunlight and the bitter cold of Earth's shadow every 90 minutes as the station orbits the planet. Temperatures can swing from over 200 degrees Fahrenheit in sunlight to nearly 300 degrees below zero in shadow, extremes that their suits must manage while maintaining comfortable conditions inside. The work performed during spacewalks ranges from routine maintenance to complex installation of new equipment, all while wearing bulky gloves that limit dexterity and working with tools that must be carefully tethered to prevent them from floating away into space and becoming potentially dangerous orbital debris. Every action must be planned and executed with extreme care, as there are no second chances if something goes wrong in the vacuum of space. Human adaptation to the space environment continues to reveal surprising aspects of how flexible and resilient our species can be when faced with conditions utterly unlike those in which we evolved. The human body's response to microgravity involves complex changes that affect every system from circulation and bone density to balance and spatial orientation. Some of these adaptations happen within hours of reaching orbit, while others develop over weeks and months of continuous weightlessness. The cardiovascular system adapts quickly to an environment where it no longer needs to pump blood against gravity's constant downward pull. Heart rate and blood pressure often decrease as the body adjusts to easier circulation, though this adaptation can make returning to Earth's gravity challenging when missions end. The redistribution of body fluids from lower extremities to the head and torso creates facial puffiness that gives many astronauts a characteristic appearance during the early weeks of their missions. Balance and spatial orientation become particularly interesting challenges in an environment where there is no consistent up or down. Astronauts must learn to navigate three-dimensionally, often choosing arbitrary orientations that help them maintain psychological comfort, even when such choices have no physical significance. Some astronauts adapt quickly to this freedom of movement, while others struggle with motion sickness and disorientation that can persist for days or weeks. The immune system's response to space environments remains an active area of research, as astronauts sometimes experience changes in their ability to fight off infections and heal from minor injuries. The stress of living in an artificial environment, combined with radiation exposure and altered sleep patterns, may contribute to immune system changes that could become significant concerns during longer missions to Mars or other distant destinations. And as your thoughts begin to drift like astronauts floating through their orbital home, we've journeyed together through the remarkable daily rhythms of life beyond Earth's embrace. From morning routines adapted to weightlessness to the careful choreography of eating, sleeping, and working in an environment where every familiar rule has been gently suspended, you've discovered how these extraordinary individuals maintain their humanity while living among the stars, adapting to challenges that transform the simplest earthbound activities into conscious acts of survival and grace. The sense of time itself transforms in ways that go beyond simply adapting to multiple sunrises, as astronauts discover that their relationship with duration, memory, and the passage of moments becomes fluid in an environment where traditional markers have dissolved. Minutes can feel like hours during complex procedures that demand absolute precision, while weeks of routine maintenance work can blur together into a single continuous flow of activity. The psychological experience of time in space often bears little resemblance to the measured minutes and hours that structure Earthbound existence. Astronauts frequently report that their perception of mission length shifts throughout their stay, with the first weeks feeling impossibly long as every experience registers as novel and significant, while later months can pass with surprising speed as routines become established and the extraordinary gradually transforms into the familiar. This temporal flexibility reflects the remarkable adaptability of human consciousness when removed from the environmental cues that normally anchor our sense of time's progression. The absence of seasonal changes, weather patterns, and natural light cycles means that astronauts must create their own psychological markers to maintain a sense of temporal progression. Many develop personal rituals or tracking methods that help them maintain awareness of how long they've been in space and how much time remains in their mission. These individual approaches to time management become deeply personal adaptations that help preserve mental health during extended periods of orbital isolation. Communication with Earth provides temporal anchors that help astronauts maintain connection to the passage of time on their home planet. Scheduled calls with family members, participation in live events broadcast from Earth, and coordination with ground-based mission activities all serve to synchronize their experience with the continuing flow of life below. However, these connections also sometimes highlight the strange temporal displacement of space living, as astronauts witness holidays, seasons, and life events from their distant orbital perspective. The experience of witnessing natural disasters, weather events, and human activities from space creates a unique temporal perspective where astronauts can observe the progression of events across vast geographical areas simultaneously. Hurricanes appear as slowly rotating spirals of cloud that take hours to noticeably change, while city lights reveal the daily rhythm of human activity as populations wake and sleep across different time zones. This godlike perspective on temporal processes can be both fascinating and emotionally challenging for crew members who feel connected to, but removed from the events unfolding below. Dreams in space take on qualities that reflect both the physical environment and the psychological state of astronauts adapting to their orbital home. Many crew members report unusually vivid dreams that often incorporate the sensation of floating, though some find that their sleeping minds still imagine the familiar weight and orientation of earthbound existence. The content of space dreams frequently includes elements of Earth life mixed with the unique experiences of orbital living, creating surreal narratives that blend memory with current reality. The quality of rest achieved during space sleep appears to be influenced by factors beyond simple duration, as astronauts often report feeling refreshed despite sleeping fewer hours than they would require on Earth. This phenomenon may relate to the reduced physical stress on the body in microgravity, where muscles don't need to continuously fight against gravitational pull. To maintain posture and circulation requires less cardiovascular effort. The absence of gravitational stress on joints and the spine may contribute to more restorative sleep, even when the duration is shorter. Snoring in space presents interesting acoustic properties due to the altered air circulation patterns and the absence of gravitational effects on soft tissues. Some astronauts who never snored on Earth begin snoring in space, while others, who were habitual snorers, find that their nighttime breathing becomes quieter. These changes reflect the complex ways that microgravity affects even the most automatic biological functions, requiring the respiratory system to adapt to new patterns of airflow and tissue behavior. The psychological comfort provided by familiar sleep positions becomes complicated when traditional orientations lose their meaning. Some astronauts find comfort in sleeping in positions that approximate their earthbound preferences, even when such orientations have no physical significance in weightlessness. Others embrace the three-dimensional freedom of space sleeping, discovering new positions and orientations that feel comfortable in ways that would be impossible under gravity's influence. These individual adaptations to sleep positioning reflect broader patterns of how humans maintain psychological comfort while adapting to radically altered physical environments. Temperature regulation during sleep requires careful attention to air circulation patterns that don't exist naturally in microgravity. The human body's normal heat distribution changes in weightlessness, as warm air doesn't rise to carry heat away from the body as it would on Earth. Astronauts must learn to position themselves relative to ventilation systems to maintain comfortable sleeping temperatures, often discovering through trial and error which locations provide the best balance of airflow and quiet for restful sleep. The social dynamics of sleep in the confined space of the International Space Station require delicate navigation of privacy needs and community living. While astronauts have individual sleep quarters, the close proximity means that sleep schedules, snoring, and nighttime activities can affect other crew members. Developing consideration for others' sleep needs becomes an important aspect of maintaining crew harmony during long missions where stress and fatigue can easily lead to interpersonal tensions. Waking up in space often involves a moment of disorientation as astronauts' minds adjust to their environment, particularly during the early weeks of a mission when the brain still expects the familiar sensations of earthbound morning routines. The absence of the feeling of lying in bed, the different acoustic environment, and the unique lighting conditions can create a brief period of confusion as consciousness transitions from sleep to wakefulness. Many astronauts develop personal rituals for this transition that help ground them in their current reality and prepare them mentally for the day ahead. The process of emerging from sleep quarters and beginning daily activities requires a deliberate transition from the protected, private space of individual sleeping areas to the shared working areas of the station. This physical movement often serves as a psychological transition that helps astronauts shift from rest mode to work mode, even though the environmental cues that facilitate this transition on Earth are largely absent in the orbital environment. Morning stretching and movement routines take on special significance in microgravity, where the body doesn't experience the natural stretching and compression that occurs during earthbound sleep. Astronauts often develop personal movement sequences that help them feel physically prepared for their day, working through joints and muscle groups that may have remained in fixed positions during sleep. These routines serve both physical and psychological purposes, providing familiar activities that help establish daily rhythm and body awareness. The transition from the private, individual experience of sleep to the shared collaborative environment of daily work aboard the space station requires emotional and social adjustment that can be particularly challenging during stressful periods of a mission. Astronauts must quickly shift from the introspective, personal experience of rest to the interpersonal, communication-intensive demands of working closely with crew members in a confined space. Developing skills for managing this daily social transition becomes an important aspect of successful long-duration spaceflight. Personal space and privacy needs vary significantly among astronauts, with some crew members requiring more solitude and others thriving on constant social interaction. The limited private space available aboard the station means that these individual differences must be carefully managed through scheduling, work assignments, and informal agreements about when and where crew members can find moments of solitude. The ability to respect and accommodate these varying needs becomes crucial for maintaining psychological health and crew cohesion during extended missions. The daily ritual of putting on and taking off clothes in microgravity requires techniques that would seem awkward or unnecessary on Earth, but become essential skills for efficient living in space. Changing clothes without gravity to help hold garments in place or provide resistance for pulling on tight-fitting items demands new approaches to what Earthbound humans consider one of the most basic daily activities. Astronauts often develop personal techniques for managing clothing changes that minimize frustration and maximize efficiency. Clothing storage and organization in the confined space of individual quarters requires creative solutions that maximize the use of limited space while keeping garments easily accessible. The absence of gravity means that clothing doesn't naturally hang or stay in drawers as it would on Earth, requiring specialized storage solutions that secure items while allowing easy retrieval. These practical challenges of daily living accumulate to create a constantly present awareness of how different life becomes when removed from Earth's gravitational influence. The psychological significance of personal possessions becomes magnified in the space environment, where astronauts can bring only a very limited number of personal items due to strict weight and space restrictions. Family photos, small mementos, and personal comfort items take on enhanced emotional importance when they represent the only physical connections to earthbound life and relationships. The process of choosing which personal items to bring on a mission often becomes an emotionally significant decision that reflects what astronauts consider most essential for maintaining their psychological well-being during extended separation from Earth. Music and entertainment in space serve important psychological functions beyond simple recreation, providing emotional regulation, stress relief, and connection to cultural identity during long missions. Astronauts can access digital music libraries and streaming services when limitations of space-to-ground communication links with Earth are available, though the technicals sometimes interrupt these connections. Many crew members create personal playlists that help them manage different moods and activities throughout their missions, using music as a tool for emotional self-regulation in an environment that provides few natural sources of psychological comfort. The acoustic environment of the space station affects how music and sounds are experienced, with the constant background noise of life support systems creating a unique listening environment that can mask certain frequencies while emphasizing others. Astronauts often use headphones to create more intimate listening experiences, though they must remain aware of station announcements and emergency signals that could require immediate response. The balance between personal entertainment and safety awareness becomes another aspect of daily life that requires conscious attention and judgment. Reading in space provides mental escape and intellectual stimulation that can be particularly valuable during long missions when routine work becomes monotonous. Digital reading devices allow astronauts to access extensive libraries without the weight and space limitations that would make physical books impractical for space travel. Many crew members report that reading helps them maintain connection to earthbound intellectual life and provides a form of mental exercise that complements their physical activities. The experience of reading in microgravity presents some unique challenges, as books or reading devices don't naturally stay in optimal positions for comfortable viewing. Astronauts must develop techniques for positioning reading materials and maintaining comfortable postures for extended periods, often using restraints or positioning aids to keep both themselves and their reading materials properly oriented. The absence of gravity's help in maintaining natural reading positions requires conscious attention to ergonomics that earthbound readers never need to consider. Games and recreational activities aboard the space station serve important social functions in addition to providing individual entertainment. Crew members often bring card games, puzzles, or other portable entertainment items that can be shared with colleagues on work objectives. These recreational activities help build, creating opportunities for social interaction that isn't focused and maintain personal relationships among crew members while providing relief from the constant demands of scientific and maintenance work. The adaptation of earthbound games to the microgravity environment often requires creativity and improvisation, as traditional game pieces may not behave as expected when they don't fall or stay in place naturally. Astronauts have developed space-adapted versions of familiar games, sometimes creating new rules, or using alternative materials that work better in weightlessness. These adaptations reflect the broader human tendency to maintain familiar cultural practices even when environmental conditions require significant modifications. Artistic expression in space takes on unique qualities as astronauts discover new ways to explore creativity in an environment that offers unprecedented perspectives and experiences. Some crew members bring art supplies and create drawings, paintings, or other visual art that captures their experiences and emotions during space missions. The unique lighting conditions, perspectives, and physical sensations of space living often inspire artistic expressions that would be impossible to create on Earth. Photography as an art form flourishes in the space environment, where every view offers compositions and perspectives that no earthbound photographer can achieve. Astronauts often develop sophisticated skills in space photography, learning to capture the technical and artistic challenges of photographing Earth from orbit, celestial objects against the black of space, and life aboard the station itself. These photographic skills serve both personal expression and scientific documentation purposes, creating archives of images that benefit both individual crew members and the broader scientific community. The process of artistic creation in microgravity presents interesting challenges, as traditional art materials may behave unpredictably when they're not held in place by gravity. Paints, pencils, and other supplies must be carefully managed to prevent them from floating away or creating hazards for equipment or crew members. Astronauts often develop specialized techniques for artistic work that accommodate the unique properties of the space environment while allowing creative expression to flourish. Writing and journaling in space provide important outlets for processing the emotional and psychological experiences of living beyond Earth's atmosphere. Many astronauts maintain personal journals or logs that capture not just the technical aspects of their missions, but also their emotional responses, philosophical reflections, and personal growth during their time in space. These written records often become valuable resources for understanding the human experience of spaceflight and can provide therapeutic benefits for crew members working through the challenges of extended space missions. The perspective gained from living in space often inspires profound reflections on human existence, the nature of Earth as a planetary home, and humanity's place in the cosmos. Astronauts frequently report that their writing from space takes on qualities and explores themes that they never considered during their earthbound lives. The unique vantage point of orbital living provides inspiration for philosophical and spiritual contemplations that can lead to significant personal growth and changed worldviews. Communication through writing with family, friends, and the public on Earth allows astronauts to share their experiences and maintain emotional connections across the vast distance that separates them from their terrestrial communities. Email, social media posts, and formal mission reports provide various outlets for written communication that serve different purposes, from intimate personal sharing to public education and inspiration. The act of translating space experiences into written language accessible to Earthbound audiences requires skills in communication that many astronauts develop and refine during their missions. The daily management of personal hygiene items and toiletries in microgravity requires organization systems that prevent small items from floating away while keeping them easily accessible for regular use. Toiletry bags, storage compartments, and personal organization systems become more complex than their Earthbound equivalents, as every item must be secured when not in use yet remain convenient for daily hygiene routines. The development of efficient personal organization systems often requires experimentation and adaptation as astronauts discover what works best for their individual needs and preferences. Dental care in space involves specialized techniques and products designed for the microgravity environment, where traditional brushing, rinsing, and spitting procedures don't work as expected. Astronauts use specially formulated toothpaste that can be safely swallowed, eliminating the need for rinsing and spitting that would create floating droplets of contaminated water. The mechanical action of toothbrushing must be carefully controlled to prevent bristles and particles from floating away and potentially causing problems for equipment or other crew members. Hair care in the space environment requires adaptations that accommodate both the behavior of hair in microgravity and the limited water availability for washing and styling. Hair tends to float and move independently in weightlessness, creating both practical challenges for maintaining neat appearances and interesting aesthetic effects that many astronauts find amusing or beautiful. The specialized hair care products and techniques developed for space use often influence the development of similar products for Earthbound use in situations where water is scarce or traditional. Hair care methods are impractical. Skincare takes on special importance in the space environment, where the combination of recycled air, altered humidity levels, and reduced gravity can affect skin condition and health. The absence of natural moisture gradients and air circulation patterns means that skin may behave differently than it does on Earth, requiring adjusted specialized products. Astronauts often care routines and sometimes experiment with different skincare approaches to find what works best for maintaining comfort and health during their missions. Personal appearance and grooming standards in space must balance individual preferences, crew morale, professional requirements, and practical limitations imposed by the microgravity environment. While there are no fashion photographers in space, astronauts are frequently visible in public communications, educational programs, and scientific documentation, making personal appearance a consideration that affects both individual self-esteem and public representation of space exploration efforts. The psychological benefits of maintaining familiar grooming routines often outweigh the practical challenges involved in adapting these routines to the space environment. The daily rhythm of personal care activities provides structure and familiar routine that helps astronauts maintain psychological connection to their earthbound lives while adapting to the dramatically different environment of space. These routine activities serve as temporal anchors that help organize the day and provide transitions between different types of work and rest activities. The familiarity of personal hygiene routines can provide comfort and normalcy in an environment where almost everything else has been transformed by the absence of gravity and the isolation from Earth. And as these gentle observations about the intimate details of space living drift through your consciousness, like soap bubbles floating in the station's recycled air, we continue our quiet journey through the extraordinary adaptations that make human life possible among the stars, where even the simplest daily rituals become conscious acts of survival and grace in the vast cathedral of space. The management of waste in space extends far beyond human biological needs, encompassing every aspect of daily life, where materials must be carefully tracked, contained, and ultimately disposed of in an environment where nothing simply disappears. Every piece of trash generated aboard the International Space Station becomes a logistics challenge that requires planning, storage, and eventual removal through visiting cargo spacecraft that burn up during atmospheric re-entry. This careful attention to waste management reflects the closed-loop nature of space living, where every input must be balanced against available storage and disposal capacity. Food packaging waste accumulates quickly in an environment where every meal comes with its own specialized containers, heating elements, and utensils designed for microgravity consumption. These packages cannot simply be thrown away as they would be on Earth, instead requiring compaction, storage, and careful inventory tracking until they can be loaded aboard departing cargo vehicles. The volume of packaging waste often surprises new astronauts, who must learn to balance their desire for varied, tasty meals against the practical limitations of waste storage space. Clothing and fabric waste present particular challenges since laundry facilities don't exist aboard the space station. Worn garments, towels, and other fabric items accumulate throughout a mission and must be stored in designated waste containers until disposal opportunities arise. Some clothing items serve double duty as exercise equipment padding or cleaning materials before being designated as waste, maximizing their utility before disposal becomes necessary. Scientific experiment waste requires special handling procedures since some materials may be hazardous or require specific disposal methods to prevent contamination. Research samples, chemical containers, and experimental apparatus must be carefully documented and handled according to protocols that ensure both crew safety and scientific integrity. The disposal of these materials often involves coordination with ground-based researchers who may need to specify particular handling or return procedures. Electronic waste and equipment disposal involve complex decisions about whether malfunctioning or obsolete items should be returned to Earth for analysis, recycled for spare parts, or disposed of through atmospheric burn-up. The high cost of returning items to Earth means that most electronic waste is ultimately destroyed during cargo ship re-entry, though valuable components may be cannibalized for spare parts before disposal. This decision-making process requires balancing scientific value, safety considerations, and mission logistics. The psychology of waste management in space reflects broader themes about resource conservation and environmental stewardship that many astronauts carry with them when they return to Earth. The experience of living in a completely closed system where every discarded item must be accounted for often leads to lasting changes in consumption habits and environmental awareness. Many former astronauts report that their space experience fundamentally altered their relationship with material possessions and waste generation in their Earthbound lives. Water recycling aboard the International Space Station represents one of humanity's most sophisticated closed-loop life support systems, transforming wastewater into drinking water with efficiency that exceeds most terrestrial treatment plants. The station's water recovery system processes urine, humidity condensate from the air, and wastewater from hygiene activities through multiple filtration and purification stages that produce water cleaner than most municipal supplies on Earth. This remarkable system allows the station to maintain water supplies for extended periods without requiring frequent resupply missions. The psychological adjustment to drinking recycled water varies among astronauts, though most report that the processed water tastes better than they expected and compares favorably to bottled water they consumed on Earth. The knowledge that the water has been thoroughly processed and tested helps overcome any initial reluctance, while the practical necessity of water recycling makes acceptance easier for crew members who understand the alternatives would involve much more frequent and expensive resupply missions. Humidity control throughout the station involves complex systems that capture water vapor from the air and process it through the same recycling systems used for other wastewater. The human body continuously releases water vapor through breathing and perspiration, and this moisture must be captured and recycled rather than allowed to accumulate and create problems with condensation on sensitive equipment. The integration of humidity control with water recycling demonstrates the interconnected nature of life support systems in space. Water rationing and conservation practices develop naturally among astronauts who understand the precious nature of their water supplies and the energy costs involved in recycling processes. While the recycling systems are highly efficient, crew members typically develop personal habits that minimize water waste during hygiene activities, food preparation, and cleaning tasks. These conservation practices often become ingrained habits that astronauts maintain when they return to Earth. The maintenance and monitoring of water recycling systems requires regular attention from crew members, who must check filters, replace components, and monitor system performance to ensure continued operation. These maintenance tasks represent critical activities that directly affect crew survival, making water system care a high-priority activity that cannot be deferred or ignored. The complexity of these systems requires astronauts to develop sophisticated technical skills in fluid dynamics, chemistry, and mechanical engineering. Emergency backup systems for water supply include stored reserves and contingency procedures for system failures that could threaten crew safety. These backup systems provide time for repairs or resupply missions in case primary recycling systems malfunction, though the limited storage capacity means that major system failures require rapid response from both crew members and ground support teams. The redundancy built into water systems reflects the critical nature of water supply for human survival in space. Air recycling and atmospheric management aboard the space station involve even more complex systems than water recycling, as the station must continuously remove carbon dioxide, generate oxygen, and maintain proper atmospheric composition and pressure. The carbon dioxide removal assembly works continuously to scrub exhaled CO2 from the station's atmosphere, while oxygen generation systems split water molecules to produce breathable oxygen and hydrogen that is either used or vented to space. The balance of atmospheric gases requires constant monitoring and adjustment to maintain conditions that support human health and comfort. Oxygen levels must be sufficient for crew needs without creating fire hazards, while carbon dioxide must be kept below levels that would cause health problems or cognitive impairment. Nitrogen levels help maintain proper atmospheric pressure and dilute oxygen to safe concentrations, creating an artificial atmosphere that mimics Earth's breathable environment. Air circulation systems throughout the station ensure that atmospheric gases mix properly and don't create pockets of stagnant air that could become hazardous to crew members. The absence of natural convection in microgravity means that air circulation must be mechanically forced throughout all areas of the station, creating the constant background noise that becomes part of the acoustic environment. These circulation systems also help distribute temperature and humidity evenly throughout the station's various modules and compartments. Atmospheric contamination monitoring involves sophisticated sensors that continuously check for potentially dangerous gases or particles that could threaten crew health. The enclosed nature of the station means that any contamination can quickly spread throughout the living and working areas, making early detection and rapid response essential for crew safety. These monitoring systems can detect everything from toxic gases released by malfunctioning equipment to biological contamination that could affect air quality. Emergency procedures for atmospheric problems include protocols for isolating contaminated areas, donning emergency breathing equipment, and coordinating with ground control for technical support and guidance. These procedures represent some of the most critical safety systems aboard the station, as atmospheric problems can quickly become life-threatening in an enclosed environment where crew members cannot simply step outside for fresh air. The psychological comfort provided by breathable air often goes unnoticed until systems malfunction or maintenance activities create temporary concerns about air quality. The knowledge that their atmosphere is artificially generated and maintained by complex mechanical systems can create anxiety for some crew members, particularly during their initial adaptation to space living. The reliability and redundancy of atmospheric systems help provide confidence that allows astronauts to focus on their work rather than constantly worrying about their next breath. Temperature control throughout the International Space Station involves managing heat generated by equipment, human bodies, and solar radiation while maintaining comfortable living and working conditions in an environment where traditional heating and cooling methods don't function as expected. The absence of natural convection means that heat doesn't naturally rise and disperse as it would on Earth, requiring active circulation systems to distribute temperature evenly throughout the station. Solar heating creates significant challenges as the station alternates between intense sunlight and the deep cold of Earth's shadow every 90 minutes during its orbital path. The rapid temperature changes would be catastrophic for both equipment and crew if not managed by sophisticated thermal control systems that use radiators, heat exchangers, and circulation loops to maintain stable internal conditions. These systems must work continuously and reliably to prevent dangerous temperature extremes. Equipment heat generation requires careful management since electronic systems, lighting, and life support equipment produce significant amounts of heat that must be removed to prevent overheating and equipment failure. The concentration of heat-generating equipment in the station's confined spaces means that thermal management becomes a critical aspect of mission planning and daily operations, or to ensure they can. Heat removal systems must be properly maintained and monitored to handle the thermal loads generated by all station systems. Personal comfort temperature preferences vary among crew members from different cultures and climates, requiring compromise and negotiation to maintain atmospheric conditions that work reasonably well for everyone aboard. The limited ability to create different temperature zones within the station means that crew members must adapt to shared temperature settings that may not match their individual preferences. Clothing choices and activity levels become important tools for personal temperature regulation. Seasonal temperature variations don't exist in the space environment, as the station's orbital mechanics and thermal control systems maintain relatively stable conditions year-round. This consistency can be psychologically comforting for some astronauts, while others miss the natural temperature variations that help mark the passage of time and seasons on Earth. The absence of seasonal temperature changes contributes to the temporal displacement that many astronauts experience during long missions. Emergency heating and cooling procedures provide backup systems for maintaining survivable temperatures if primary thermal control systems malfunction. These emergency systems typically involve portable heating elements, emergency cooling fans, and procedures for isolating crew members in areas with more stable temperatures until repairs can be completed. The redundancy of temperature control systems reflects the critical nature of maintaining habitable conditions in space. Lighting aboard the International Space Station serves multiple functions beyond simple illumination, helping to maintain circadian rhythms, support work activities, and provide psychological comfort in an environment where natural light cycles don't match human biological needs. The station's lighting systems can be adjusted to simulate Earth-like day and night cycles, helping crew members maintain sleep-wake patterns despite experiencing sunrise every 90 minutes. Artificial lighting systems throughout the station provide both general illumination and task-specific lighting for detailed work activities. The quality and intensity of artificial light can significantly affect mood, alertness, and visual comfort during long missions where crew members may go weeks without experiencing natural sunlight filtered through Earth's atmosphere. LED lighting systems provide energy efficiency and long operational life, while offering the flexibility to adjust color temperature and brightness levels. Natural light from Earth and the Sun provides spectacular illumination that changes constantly as the station orbits the planet, creating lighting conditions that range from brilliant sunlight to deep shadow and everything in between. These natural lighting variations can be both beautiful and challenging, as they may interfere with work activities or sleep schedules while providing visual experiences that no earthbound human can enjoy. Managing the balance between natural and artificial light becomes an important aspect of daily life in space. Circadian rhythm support through lighting involves sophisticated systems that can gradually adjust light intensity and color temperature to simulate natural sunrise and sunset cycles. These systems help crew members maintain healthy sleep patterns and psychological well-being by providing environmental cues that their bodies evolved to expect. The effectiveness of artificial circadian lighting varies among individuals, with some astronauts adapting easily, while others struggle with sleep disruption despite these technological aids. Work lighting requirements change throughout the day as astronauts perform different types of activities that may require bright, focused illumination for detailed tasks, or softer lighting for comfort during mealtimes and relaxation periods. The ability to adjust lighting levels and direction helps create appropriate environments for different activities while conserving energy and preventing light-related fatigue. Proper work lighting also helps prevent eye strain and fatigue during long periods of concentrated activity. Emergency lighting systems provide backup illumination if primary lighting systems fail, ensuring that crew members can safely navigate the station and perform critical activities even during power outages or equipment malfunctions. These emergency systems typically use battery power and may provide limited illumination for essential areas while conserving energy for extended operation. The reliability of emergency lighting can be psychologically important for crew members who may feel anxious about being trapped in darkness in their orbital home. Privacy and personal space aboard the International Space Station require creative solutions in an environment where physical separation is limited and personal retreat areas are minimal. Individual crew quarters provide the primary private space for each astronaut, though these compartments are smaller than most earthbound closets and must serve multiple functions as bedroom, office, and personal storage area. The psychological importance of having even a small private space cannot be overstated in an environment where crew members are constantly in close proximity to their colleagues. Noise privacy becomes as important as visual privacy in the confined space of the station, where conversations, personal communications, and individual activities can easily disturb other crew members. The constant background noise of life support systems provides some acoustic masking, but crew members must also develop consideration for others' needs for quiet and personal communication time. Scheduling private communication periods and respecting others' quiet time becomes an important aspect of crew harmony. Personal boundaries and social protocols develop naturally among crew members who must live and work together in close quarters for extended periods. These informal agreements about personal space, shared areas, and individual versus group activities help maintain psychological comfort and prevent interpersonal conflicts that could affect mission success. The cultural differences among international crew members add complexity to these social negotiations. Retreat and solitude opportunities are limited aboard the space station, making it important for crew members to find ways to create psychological privacy even when physical separation isn't possible. Some astronauts develop meditation practices, reading routines, or other individual activities that provide mental separation from group activities and social demands. The ability to create internal privacy becomes a valuable skill for maintaining psychological health during long missions. Shared space etiquette involves unwritten rules about cleanliness, noise levels, personal belongings, and consideration for others that help maintain harmony in the confined living environment. These social protocols often develop organically as crew members learn to live together, though some guidelines are established during training to help prevent common sources of interpersonal tension. The success of these informal agreements often determines the overall social atmosphere of the mission. Personal expression and individuality can be challenging to maintain in an environment where most aspects of daily life are regulated by safety procedures, mission requirements, and technical constraints. Crew members find ways to express their personalities through personal belongings, communication styles, work approaches, and informal interactions that help maintain their sense of individual identity while functioning as part of a team. These expressions of individuality often become important for psychological well-being and crew morale. Cultural exchange aboard the International Space Station creates unique opportunities for crew members from different countries and backgrounds to share traditions, perspectives, and experiences in an intimate setting where cultural differences become learning opportunities rather than sources of division. The international nature of space exploration often leads to friendships and understanding that transcend national boundaries and political differences on Earth. Language communication among international crew members typically involves multiple languages, with English serving as the primary working language, while crew members may communicate in their native languages during personal time or when discussing cultural topics. The linguistic diversity can create both challenges and opportunities, as crew members often learn basic phrases in each other's languages while helping each other navigate technical discussions in English. Traditional celebrations and holidays take on special significance in the space environment, where crew members may observe their cultural traditions while also participating in celebrations from other cultures represented aboard the station. These shared cultural experiences often become highlights of long missions, providing opportunities for learning and bonding that help maintain morale and international cooperation. The adaptation of traditional celebrations to the space environment often requires creativity and compromise. Food traditions and cuisine sharing allow crew members to introduce colleagues to foods and flavors from their home countries, creating cultural bridges through shared meals and cooking experiences adapted to the space environment. These culinary exchanges often become memorable experiences that strengthen international relationships and provide comfort through familiar flavors from home. The planning and coordination required for cultural food sharing demonstrates the importance that crew members place on maintaining cultural connections. Religious and spiritual practices require adaptation to the space environment, where traditional religious observations may need to be modified to accommodate the technical and social constraints of space living. Crew members from various faith traditions find ways to maintain their spiritual practices while respecting the diverse beliefs of their colleagues and the secular nature of scientific missions. These adaptations often lead to interfaith dialogue and mutual respect that enriches the mission experience. Cultural artifacts and personal items from different countries often become focal points for cultural sharing and education, as crew members bring small items that represent their heritage and share the stories and significance behind these objects. These cultural exchanges help maintain connection to earthbound identities while building understanding and appreciation for the diversity of human experience and tradition. Conflict resolution and interpersonal challenges in the confined space environment require sophisticated communication skills and emotional intelligence from all crew members. The stress of living in an artificial environment, combined with the high-stakes nature of space missions and the inability to simply leave when tensions arise, means that interpersonal conflicts can quickly escalate if not addressed promptly and effectively. Training in conflict resolution becomes an essential skill for successful space missions. Stress management techniques become crucial for maintaining psychological health and crew harmony during long missions where stresses accumulate over time and traditional stress relief methods may not be available. Exercise, communication with family, personal hobbies, and relaxation techniques help crew members manage the psychological demands of space living while maintaining their effectiveness as team members and professionals. Emotional support systems among crew members often develop naturally as astronauts learn to recognize signs of stress or emotional difficulty in their colleagues and provide appropriate support and encouragement. These informal support networks become crucial for maintaining morale and psychological health, as professional counseling resources are limited to scheduled communications with ground-based support personnel. Leadership dynamics and decision-making processes aboard the space station involve complex interactions between formal command structures, individual expertise areas, and collaborative problem-solving approaches that must function effectively under stress and time pressure. The international nature of space missions adds complexity to leadership structures as crew members must navigate both technical authority and cultural sensitivity in their working relationships. Team building and cooperation activities help maintain group cohesion and effectiveness throughout long missions where crew members must depend on each other for both professional success and personal survival. These activities may be formal exercises, planned as part of mission operations, or informal social interactions that develop naturally as crew members work and live together in their unique environment. Communication skills and emotional intelligence become magnified in importance aboard the space station, where misunderstandings or interpersonal tensions have nowhere to dissipate and can quickly affect the entire crew's morale and effectiveness. The ability to communicate clearly, listen actively, and respond empathetically to colleagues becomes essential for mission success and personal well-being in the confined, high-stress environment of space. And as these thoughts about human relationships and social dynamics in the cosmic environment float gently through your consciousness, like conversations drifting through the recycled air of the station, we continue our peaceful exploration of how extraordinary humans adapt not just physically, but emotionally and socially to life among the stars, where the bonds between crew members become as essential as the technological systems that sustain their existence in the infinite cathedral of space. Medical monitoring and health maintenance aboard the International Space Station involve sophisticated systems that track every aspect of astronaut physiology while adapting medical care to an environment where traditional healthcare assumptions no longer apply. The human body's response to microgravity requires constant observation through sensors, regular testing, and careful documentation that helps both maintain crew health and advance scientific understanding of human adaptation to space. Blood pressure measurements, heart rate monitoring, and other vital signs take on new patterns in weightlessness, requiring medical protocols specifically developed for the orbital environment. The absence of gravity affects medication distribution throughout the body in ways that can alter dosage requirements and effectiveness of common drugs used on Earth. Astronauts must learn to administer medications to themselves and potentially to crew members in emergency situations, while medical supplies aboard the station include everything from basic pain relievers to sophisticated emergency intervention equipment. The challenge of providing comprehensive medical care with limited resources and no possibility of immediate evacuation to earthbound hospitals requires careful planning and extensive training. Routine medical procedures like taking blood samples become complex choreographed activities in microgravity, where blood doesn't flow downward into collection tubes, but must be actively guided and contained. The station's medical equipment includes specialized devices designed for weightless operation, though many procedures still require creative adaptation of earthbound techniques. These medical activities often serve dual purposes, maintaining crew health while contributing to research studies that examine how the human body changes during extended spaceflight. Emergency medical scenarios require protocols that account for the unique challenges of treating serious injuries or illnesses in an environment where traditional emergency response systems don't exist. Crew members receive extensive medical training that enables them to serve as emergency medical technicians for their colleagues, while ground-based medical teams can provide guidance through communication links when available. The psychological preparation for potentially life-threatening medical emergencies in space requires mental resilience that goes beyond technical medical knowledge. Preventive medicine takes on enhanced importance in space, where minor health issues can quickly escalate without proper attention and where the stress of the environment can compromise immune system function. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, adequate sleep, and stress management become medical prescriptions rather than lifestyle choices. The holistic approach to health maintenance in space often provides insights that benefit medical care on Earth, where the interconnection between physical, mental, and environmental health factors becomes clearly apparent. Psychological health monitoring involves regular consultations with ground-based mental health professionals who help astronauts process the emotional challenges of long-duration spaceflight while maintaining psychological resilience and effectiveness. These confidential sessions provide essential support for crew members dealing with homesickness, interpersonal stress, or the existential challenges that can arise from the profound experience of living beyond Earth's atmosphere. The psychological support systems developed for space missions often pioneer approaches that benefit isolated populations on Earth. Dental care in the space environment requires specialized techniques and equipment designed for microgravity conditions, where traditional dental procedures would create floating debris hazards. Emergency dental problems can become serious medical issues during long missions, making preventive dental care and crew training in basic dental procedures important aspects of mission preparation. The development of space-adapted dental care techniques has contributed to improved portable dental care systems used in remote Earthbound locations. Vision changes experienced by many astronauts during long-duration spaceflight represent one of the most significant medical concerns for future missions to Mars and other distant destinations. The fluid shifts and other physiological changes associated with microgravity can affect eye pressure, vision clarity, and overall visual health in ways that may persist after returning to Earth. Research into these vision changes has led to better understanding of similar conditions affecting Earthbound populations. Pharmaceutical management aboard the space station involves careful inventory control, proper storage conditions, and monitoring of medication expiration dates in an environment where resupply opportunities are limited, and environmental factors may affect drug stability. The station's pharmacy includes medications for common ailments as well as specialized drugs for space-specific medical conditions, while protocols exist for managing drug interactions and side effects that may be enhanced or altered by the space environment. Research participation by crew members transforms them into both researchers and research subjects as they contribute to studies examining human adaptation to space while monitoring their own physiological changes throughout their missions. This dual role requires astronauts to maintain scientific objectivity about their own health changes while dealing with any concerns or discomfort these changes may cause. The medical research conducted in space provides invaluable data for planning future long-duration missions and understanding human physiology in extreme environments. Radiation exposure monitoring involves sophisticated dosimetry equipment that tracks the accumulated radiation dose each crew member receives from cosmic rays, solar particle events, and other space radiation sources that pose long-term health risks. The space environment exposes astronauts to radiation levels far exceeding those experienced by most Earthbound populations, making radiation protection and monitoring critical aspects of space medicine. Understanding and mitigating radiation exposure remains one of the primary challenges for long-duration space exploration. Bone density and muscle mass monitoring requires regular measurements using specialized equipment designed to function in microgravity while providing accurate assessments of the changes occurring in astronaut bodies throughout their missions. The rapid loss of bone density and muscle strength in weightlessness represents one of the most significant medical challenges for space exploration, requiring both monitoring and active countermeasures to maintain astronaut health. Research in this area has contributed to better understanding and treatment of similar conditions affecting aging populations on Earth. Cardiovascular health monitoring tracks the changes in heart function and blood circulation that occur as the cardiovascular system adapts to an environment where it no longer needs to pump blood against gravity's constant pull. These adaptations can affect exercise capacity, orthostatic tolerance, and overall cardiovascular fitness in ways that may impact crew performance and safety. The cardiovascular research conducted in space has provided insights into heart disease and circulation problems that affect millions of people on Earth. Nutrition monitoring involves careful tracking of food intake, nutritional balance, and body weight changes throughout space missions, where appetite, digestion, and nutritional needs may differ from Earthbound patterns. The challenge of maintaining proper nutrition in space requires attention to both physiological needs and psychological satisfaction with food choices. Nutritional research in space has contributed to better understanding of human dietary needs in extreme environments and high-stress situations. Sleep quality assessment uses both objective measurements and subjective reports to evaluate how well astronauts are sleeping and what factors may be affecting their rest quality in the unique environment of space. Sleep disorders and disruption can significantly impact crew performance, safety, and health, making sleep monitoring an important aspect of space medicine. The sleep research conducted in space has contributed to better understanding of circadian rhythm disorders and sleep problems that affect Earthbound populations. Mental health screening and support provide ongoing assessment of psychological well-being, while offering intervention strategies for crew members who may be struggling with the emotional challenges of space living. The confined environment, separation from family, and high-stress nature of space missions can affect mental health in ways that require professional support and intervention. The psychological support systems developed for space missions have influenced approaches to mental health care in other isolated or high-stress occupations. Telemedicine capabilities allow ground-based medical experts to provide consultation and guidance for medical situations that arise during space missions, though communication delays and bandwidth limitations create challenges for real-time medical consultation. The development of space-based telemedicine systems has advanced remote medical care technologies that benefit isolated populations on Earth, where immediate access to medical specialists may not be available. These systems represent the frontier of remote medical care delivery. Microorganism and infection control aboard the space station involves monitoring for bacterial, viral, and fungal contamination that could affect crew health in an enclosed environment where traditional infection control measures may not function as expected. The recycled air and water systems, combined with the altered immune response that may occur in space, create unique challenges for preventing and managing infections. Research into space-based infection control has contributed to better understanding of contamination control in other enclosed environments. Exercise physiology research examines how the human body responds to physical activity in microgravity while developing more effective exercise protocols for maintaining astronaut health during long missions. The unique challenges of exercising without gravity's resistance provide insights into human muscle function, cardiovascular response, and metabolic processes that benefit athletes and fitness enthusiasts on Earth. This research has contributed to improved exercise equipment and training methods for various earthbound applications. Wound healing and tissue repair occur differently in the space environment, where the absence of gravity affects blood flow, immune response, and cellular repair processes in ways that may slow healing and increase infection risk. Understanding these differences is crucial for managing injuries that may occur during space missions, while contributing to medical knowledge about tissue repair and regenerative medicine. Research in this area has implications for wound care and surgical recovery in various earthbound medical situations. And as these clinical observations about human health and medical adaptation drift gently through your relaxing mind like data flowing through the station's medical monitoring systems, we continue our tranquil journey through the remarkable ways that human bodies and minds adjust to the extraordinary environment of space, where every heartbeat and breath becomes part of humanity's greatest adventure in learning to live among the infinite stars. The daily rituals of scientific research aboard the International Space Station transform the orbital laboratory into humanity's most advanced research facility, where experiments impossible to conduct on Earth yield discoveries that benefit life throughout the cosmos. Astronauts serve as highly trained laboratory technicians, carefully following protocols developed by researchers on the ground, while adapting procedures to the unique conditions of microgravity. The absence of gravity allows scientists to study fundamental physical and biological processes without the constant influence of Earth's downward pull, revealing new understanding about how matter behaves and how life functions. Protein crystal growth experiments take advantage of the perfect stillness of microgravity to grow larger, more perfect crystals than can be achieved on Earth, where gravity and convection currents disrupt the delicate formation process. These enhanced crystals provide clearer pictures of protein structure, leading to better understanding of diseases and more effective drug development. The pharmaceutical research conducted in space has contributed to treatments for cancer, diabetes, and other conditions that affect millions of people on Earth. Materials. Science investigations examine how metals, alloys, and other substances behave when freed from gravity's influence, often revealing properties and formation processes that remain hidden in earthbound laboratories. The perfect spheres and uniform structures that form in weightlessness provide insights into metallurgy, manufacturing, and materials engineering that lead to stronger, lighter, and more efficient products for use both in space and on Earth. These discoveries often find applications in industries ranging from aerospace to automotive manufacturing. Combustion research in microgravity reveals how flames behave without the buoyancy effects that shape fire on Earth, leading to more efficient engines, cleaner burning fuels, and better fire safety systems. The spherical flames and different burning patterns observed in space provide fundamental insights into combustion physics that improve everything from car engines to power plant efficiency. This research has contributed to reduced emissions and improved fuel economy in earthbound applications. Plant growth experiments explore how crops might be cultivated during long missions to Mars, while investigating how gravity affects plant development, root growth, and fruit production. These studies may hold keys to feeding future space explorers while contributing to more efficient agricultural techniques on Earth, where growing populations require improved food production methods. The lessons learned from space agriculture often translate into better growing techniques for challenging earthbound environments. Cell biology research examines how living cells behave in weightlessness, revealing insights into fundamental life processes that remain hidden when studied under gravity's constant influence. Cancer cells, immune system function, and tissue development all behave differently in space, providing new understanding of disease processes and potential treatments. The unique research environment of space allows scientists to isolate gravitational effects from other factors that influence biological systems. Physics experiments take advantage of the space station's unique environment to study fundamental forces and particle behavior without gravitational interference, contributing to our understanding of the universe at its most basic levels. These investigations often require precise measurements and careful control of experimental conditions that push the boundaries of scientific instrumentation and methodology. The discoveries made through space-based physics research contribute to technologies that benefit various aspects of Earthbound life. Earth observation research uses the station's orbital vantage point to study climate patterns, weather systems, and environmental changes that affect the entire planet. Astronauts photograph and monitor everything from hurricane development to deforestation, providing data that helps scientists understand and predict environmental changes. The unique perspective from space allows researchers to observe global patterns and connections that are invisible from any Earthbound viewpoint. Technology demonstration experiments test new equipment and procedures that may be used on future space missions, while developing technologies that often find applications in Earthbound industries. These tests range from advanced life support systems to new communication technologies, with many innovations eventually benefiting consumers through commercial applications. The demanding environment of space serves as an ideal testing ground for technologies that must function reliably under extreme conditions. Psychological and behavioral research examines how humans adapt to the isolated, confined environment of space, while developing insights that benefit Earthbound populations in similar situations. Studies of crew dynamics, stress response, and adaptation strategies contribute to better understanding of human behavior in challenging environments. This research often benefits submarine crews, Antarctic researchers, and other populations who must function effectively in isolated conditions. Medical research using crew members as subjects provides invaluable data about human adaptation to space, while contributing to medical knowledge that benefits Earthbound healthcare. Studies of bone loss, muscle atrophy, cardiovascular changes, and other physiological adaptations help scientists understand aging, disease processes, and human resilience. The medical insights gained from space research often lead to improved treatments and prevention strategies for conditions affecting Earthbound populations. Sample storage and return procedures ensure that research specimens collected in space can be safely transported back to Earth for detailed analysis in ground-based laboratories equipped with sophisticated analytical instruments. The careful preservation and documentation of these samples requires attention to temperature control, contamination prevention, and proper handling procedures throughout the collection and return process. These samples often provide data that cannot be obtained any other way, making their safe return essential for completing research objectives. Data collection and transmission systems allow real-time monitoring of experiments and rapid communication of results to ground-based research teams who can provide guidance and make adjustments to experimental procedures. The sophisticated communication systems aboard the station enable collaborative research between space-based and Earthbound scientists, creating a seamless research environment that spans the gap between Earth and orbit. This collaboration model has influenced approaches to remote research coordination in various Earthbound applications. Equipment maintenance and calibration become critical aspects of research operations where precise measurements and reliable equipment function are essential for valid scientific results. Astronauts must master complex maintenance procedures for dozens of different research instruments while adapting to equipment modifications and upgrades that arrive on resupply missions. The skills required for maintaining sophisticated research equipment in space often exceed those needed by Earthbound laboratory technicians. Research scheduling and coordination involve complex logistics that balance crew time, equipment availability, and communication opportunities with ground-based research teams across multiple time zones. The international nature of space station research requires coordination between research institutions, space agencies, and commercial partners from around the world. These coordination challenges have led to improved project management techniques that benefit complex collaborative research efforts on Earth. Quality control and experimental protocols ensure that research conducted in space meets the same rigorous standards applied to Earthbound scientific investigations, while adapting procedures to account for the unique conditions of the space environment. The validation of space-based research results requires careful documentation, multiple measurements, and comparison with Earthbound control studies. These quality assurance procedures have contributed to improved research methodologies that benefit scientific investigations in various fields. Innovation and discovery in the space laboratory often lead to unexpected findings and serendipitous observations that open new avenues of scientific investigation. The unique environment of space frequently reveals phenomena that cannot be observed or predicted from Earthbound studies, leading to breakthrough discoveries that advance human knowledge and understanding. These discoveries often have applications far beyond their original research objectives, contributing to advances in multiple scientific and technological fields. And as these scientific wonders drift peacefully through your thoughts like experiments floating in their research chambers, we continue our gentle exploration of how human curiosity and ingenuity flourish even in the vast emptiness of space, where every day brings new discoveries and deeper understanding of the magnificent universe that surrounds our small blue home floating in the cosmic dark. International cooperation aboard the space station creates a living laboratory where humanity's greatest challenges are addressed through collaboration that transcends Earthbound political boundaries and cultural differences. Scientists from dozens of nations contribute experiments, equipment, and expertise to research programs that benefit all of humanity, demonstrating how shared scientific goals can unite people across continents and ideologies. The daily work of international crews serves as a quiet testament to what becomes possible when human beings focus on common objectives rather than the divisions that separate them on Earth. The languages spoken aboard the station create a unique linguistic environment where crew members communicate in multiple tongues throughout their daily activities, with English serving as the primary working language while conversations flow naturally between Russian, Japanese, and other native languages during informal moments. This multilingual atmosphere requires mental flexibility and cultural sensitivity from all crew members, who often learn basic phrases in their colleagues' languages while helping each other navigate technical discussions in their shared working language. The linguistic challenges of international space cooperation have contributed to improved translation technologies and communication protocols used in various Earthbound international collaborations. Cultural perspectives on time, work, and relationships blend together in the confined space of the orbital laboratory, where crew members from different backgrounds must find common approaches to daily routines, decision-making, and problem-solving. These cultural negotiations often lead to hybrid approaches that combine the best aspects of different national traditions and working styles, creating new ways of organizing life and work that benefit from diverse perspectives. The cultural fusion that occurs naturally in space often provides insights into international cooperation that influence diplomatic and business relationships on Earth. Technical standards and procedures must be harmonized across different national space agencies, each with their own approaches to safety, quality control, and operational methods developed over decades of independent space exploration. The process of creating unified international standards for space operations has required extensive negotiation and compromise, while establishing protocols that ensure safety and effectiveness, regardless of which nation's equipment or procedures are being used. These standardization efforts have influenced international cooperation in various technical fields on Earth. Resource sharing and logistics coordination involve complex agreements about how costs, benefits, and responsibilities are distributed among international partners who contribute different capabilities and resources to shared missions. The space station represents one of humanity's most successful examples of international resource pooling, where each partner nation contributes according to their strengths while benefiting from the capabilities provided by other partners. This model of international cooperation has influenced approaches to other large-scale collaborative projects on Earth. Emergency response coordination requires seamless cooperation between mission control centers in different countries, each with their own expertise and responsibilities for different aspects of station operations. When emergencies arise, these international teams must work together with precision and speed that transcends cultural and linguistic differences, demonstrating how shared training and common objectives can enable effective collaboration under pressure. The emergency response protocols developed for international space operations have influenced disaster response coordination efforts on Earth. Scientific collaboration involves researchers from universities and institutions around the world who design experiments, analyze data, and share results through international networks that make space-based research a truly global enterprise. The peer review processes, data sharing agreements, and collaborative research protocols developed for space science have advanced international scientific cooperation in various fields while establishing new standards for transparent, collaborative research. These collaborative approaches often serve as models for addressing global challenges that require international scientific coordination. Diplomatic relationships between nations are often strengthened through their cooperation in space exploration, where shared challenges and mutual dependence create bonds that transcend political differences and national interests. The relationships formed between astronauts, engineers, and scientists from different countries often persist long after missions end, creating informal diplomatic networks that contribute to international understanding and cooperation. The space station serves as a unique diplomatic venue where representatives of different nations work together daily toward common goals. Training integration involves bringing together astronauts from different countries for months or years of preparation that creates international teams capable of working together effectively in the challenging environment of space. This training process requires cultural sensitivity, language adaptation, and the development of common procedures that accommodate different national approaches to space operations. The international training programs developed for space missions have influenced approaches to international team building in various other fields. Technology transfer and knowledge sharing between international partners create opportunities for each nation to benefit from the innovations and expertise developed by their collaborators, while contributing their own unique capabilities to shared objectives. The intellectual property agreements and technology sharing protocols developed for international space cooperation have influenced approaches to international research and development collaboration in various industries. These partnerships often lead to innovations that benefit all participating nations. Communication protocols for international operations must account for different time zones, languages, and cultural approaches to information sharing, while ensuring that critical information reaches all relevant parties in a timely and understandable manner. The communication systems developed for international space operations have influenced approaches to global communication and coordination in various fields where international cooperation is essential. These protocols often serve as models for other international collaborative efforts. Conflict resolution mechanisms for international space cooperation provide frameworks for addressing disagreements and competing interests that may arise between partner nations while maintaining focus on shared objectives and mutual benefits. The diplomatic and technical procedures developed for resolving international space cooperation disputes have influenced approaches to international conflict resolution in various other contexts. These mechanisms demonstrate how shared goals and mutual dependence can provide foundations for resolving differences constructively. Leadership rotation and decision-making authority in international space operations require careful balance between national interests and mission effectiveness, while ensuring that all partner nations have appropriate influence over operations that affect their citizens and investments. The governance structures developed for international space cooperation have influenced approaches to international organization management in various other collaborative endeavors. These leadership models often provide insights into effective international cooperation structures. Economic benefits and cost distribution among international partners require complex agreements about how the financial burdens and economic returns of space cooperation are shared fairly among nations with different economic capabilities and priorities. The economic models developed for international space cooperation have influenced approaches to international development cooperation and resource-sharing agreements in various other fields. These economic frameworks often serve as examples for other large-scale international collaborative projects. Public engagement and education through international space cooperation create opportunities for people around the world to learn about space exploration while developing appreciation for international cooperation and shared human achievements. The educational programs and public outreach activities associated with international space missions often inspire young people to pursue careers in science and engineering while fostering international understanding and cooperation. These educational efforts demonstrate how shared achievements can unite people across national and cultural boundaries. And as these thoughts about human cooperation and shared dreams drift gently through your consciousness like radio signals traveling between Earth and the station overhead, we continue our peaceful journey through the remarkable ways that space exploration brings out the best in human nature, showing how the vast emptiness between worlds can actually bring us closer together in our common quest to understand our place in the infinite cosmos that surrounds and embraces us all. The passage of seasons on Earth becomes a distant rhythm observed from the orbital perspective, where astronauts witness the slow progression of weather patterns, changing vegetation, and shifting ice formations across continents, while remaining insulated from the temperature variations and atmospheric changes that mark seasonal transitions for Earthbound populations. The view from space reveals seasonal changes as gradual transformations in color and texture across vast landscapes, providing a perspective on natural cycles that few humans have ever experienced. These observations often deepen astronauts' appreciation for Earth's natural rhythms and environmental systems. Agricultural cycles become visible from orbit as crew members observe planting, growing, and harvesting patterns across different regions of the world, watching as human food production systems respond to seasonal changes and weather variations. The space-based perspective on agriculture provides insights into global food systems, crop distribution, and the relationships between human activity and natural cycles. These observations contribute to research on sustainable agriculture, climate change impacts, and global food security that benefits Earthbound farming communities. Weather pattern observation from the unique vantage point of orbit allows astronauts to witness the formation and development of storms, hurricanes, and other atmospheric phenomena with a clarity and scope impossible from any Earthbound location. The ability to observe weather systems from above provides data and insights that improve weather forecasting, climate research, and understanding of atmospheric processes. These observations often contribute to better preparation for severe weather events and improved understanding of climate change impacts. Ocean current monitoring from space reveals the massive circulation patterns that distribute heat, nutrients, and marine life around the planet, while influencing weather patterns and climate conditions across all continents. The orbital perspective on ocean systems provides data about ocean health, pollution distribution, and the relationships between marine and atmospheric systems. These observations contribute to research on ocean conservation, fisheries management, and climate change that affects marine ecosystems worldwide. Environmental change documentation through space-based photography and observation provides long-term records of deforestation, urban development, glacial melting, and other environmental transformations that affect the entire planet. The consistent orbital viewpoint allows researchers to track environmental changes over time with precision and scope that ground-based observations cannot match. These environmental monitoring activities contribute to conservation efforts, environmental policy development, and understanding of human impacts on natural systems. Natural disaster observation from the space station provides real-time information about earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, wildfires, and other natural events that can help coordinate emergency response efforts and improve understanding of natural disaster processes. The rapid communication of space-based disaster teams can help save lives and reduce property observations to ground-based emergency response damage during natural disasters. These observations also contribute to research on natural disaster prediction and mitigation strategies. Light pollution mapping from orbit reveals the extent and distribution of artificial lighting across the planet. Providing data about energy pollution helps researchers understand how artificial lighting consumption, urban development patterns, and the impacts of human lighting. These observations often influence on natural systems. The space-based perspective on light observation, while contributing to efforts to reduce unnecessary effects, wildlife, energy consumption, and astronomical space station, provides unique perspectives on these atmospheric light displays that occur when lighting policies and conservation efforts in various communities. Aurora phenomena observation from the solar particles interact with Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere. Astronauts can observe auroras from above, below, and within these magnificent displays, providing scientific data and spectacular photography that advances understanding of space weather and atmospheric physics. These observations contribute to research on space weather effects that can impact satellite communications and power grid systems on Earth. Atmospheric research conducted from the orbital laboratory examines air quality, atmospheric composition, and the chemical processes that affect climate and weather patterns around the world. The space-based perspective allows researchers to study atmospheric phenomena without the interference of local weather conditions that can affect ground-based atmospheric research. These studies contribute to understanding of air pollution, climate change, and atmospheric chemistry that influences environmental policy and public health initiatives. Ecological monitoring from space tracks changes in forests, grasslands, wetlands, and other ecosystems that provide essential services for human and wildlife populations around the world. The consistent orbital observations allow researchers to monitor ecosystem health, biodiversity changes, and the impacts of human activities on natural systems with unprecedented scope and precision. These ecological observations contribute to conservation planning, habitat protection, and understanding of ecosystem responses to environmental changes. Urban development tracking through space-based observation reveals how cities grow and change over time, while providing data about urbanization patterns, infrastructure development, and the relationships between human settlements and natural systems. The orbital perspective on urban development helps planners and policymakers understand the impacts of urbanization on natural resources, transportation systems, and environmental quality. These observations often influence urban planning policies and sustainable development initiatives. Archaeological discovery from space involves using orbital observations to identify potential archaeological sites, monitor existing sites for conservation purposes, and understand how ancient human settlements related to natural landscape features. The space-based perspective can reveal subtle landscape features and patterns that indicate human activity from ancient times while helping protect archaeological sites from development or environmental damage. These archaeological applications of space observation contribute to understanding of human history and cultural heritage preservation. Geological observation from the orbital platform provides insights into Earth's geological processes, mineral distributions, and the relationships between geological features and other natural systems. The space-based perspective allows geologists to observe large-scale geological patterns and processes that are difficult to study from ground-based locations, while contributing to understanding of earthquake risks, mineral resources, and geological hazards. These geological observations often influence resource exploration, hazard assessment, and geological research. Water resource monitoring from space tracks changes in rivers, lakes, groundwater, and other water resources that are essential for human survival and ecosystem health around the world. The orbital perspective allows researchers to monitor water quality, availability, and distribution patterns with scope and consistency that ground-based monitoring cannot achieve. These water resource observations contribute to water management policies, drought prediction, and understanding of how climate change affects water availability. Climate research conducted from the space station contributes to understanding of global climate systems, climate change processes, and the relationships between human activities and climate patterns. The long-term orbital perspective allows climate researchers to observe changes and trends that occur over years and decades, while providing data about climate processes that affect the entire planet. These climate observations contribute to climate change research, policy development, and understanding of how human activities influence global climate systems. Biodiversity monitoring from orbit helps researchers track changes in plant and animal populations, habitat distribution, and ecosystem health across different regions of the world. The space-based perspective allows biodiversity researchers to observe large-scale patterns and changes in natural systems, while contributing to conservation efforts and understanding of how environmental changes affect wildlife populations. These biodiversity observations often influence conservation planning, habitat protection policies, and understanding of ecosystem dynamics. And as these observations of our living planet drift peacefully through your mind, like clouds moving across the Earth's surface far below, we continue our gentle exploration of how the space station serves as humanity's watchtower in the sky, where dedicated observers document the beauty and complexity of our world while contributing to the knowledge needed to protect and preserve the precious blue oasis that remains our only home in the vast darkness of space. Communication systems aboard the International Space Station create vital links between the orbital laboratory and Earth through sophisticated networks that must function reliably across the vast distances and challenging conditions of space. These communication systems enable everything from routine daily coordination with mission control centers to emergency communications that could mean the difference between life and death for crew members. The complexity of maintaining constant communication between space and ground requires redundant systems, multiple communication pathways, and careful coordination between ground stations around the world. Voice communication systems allow astronauts to speak directly with mission control personnel, family members, and colleagues on Earth through radio links that must overcome the challenges of distance, interference, and orbital motion. The clarity and reliability of voice communications can significantly affect crew morale and mission effectiveness, making these systems crucial for both operational and psychological reasons. The development of space-based voice communication systems has contributed to advances in radio technology and communication protocols that benefit various Earthbound applications. Data transmission capabilities enable the continuous flow of scientific data, system telemetry, and operational information between the space station and ground-based facilities that monitor and support the mission. The volume of data generated by space station operations requires high-capacity communication systems that can handle everything from routine housekeeping information to critical system alerts and scientific measurements. These data transmission systems often operate continuously in the background, providing the information flow that enables ground-based support teams to monitor station operations and assist crew members. Internet connectivity aboard the space station provides crew members with access to email, web browsing, and other online services that help maintain connection with Earthbound life while supporting both work and personal activities. The satellite internet systems used for space station connectivity must overcome significant technical challenges related to orbital motion, signal delays, and bandwidth limitations while providing reliable service for crew members who depend on digital communication. The development of space-based internet systems has contributed to advances in satellite communication technology that benefit remote locations on Earth. Video communication systems enable face-to-face conversations between astronauts and their families, colleagues, and mission support personnel through high-quality video links that help maintain personal relationships and support complex technical discussions. The psychological benefits of seeing familiar faces and expressions cannot be overstated for crew members who may go months without direct human contact outside their small orbital community. These video communication systems have influenced the development of telepresence technologies used in various Earthbound applications. Emergency communication protocols ensure that crew members can contact ground-based emergency support teams immediately if life-threatening situations arise aboard the space station. These emergency communication systems typically include multiple backup pathways and priority access procedures that can override routine communications to ensure that emergency messages reach appropriate response teams without delay. The reliability and redundancy built into emergency communication systems reflect the critical nature of maintaining contact during crisis situations. Communication delays caused by the finite speed of radio signals and the orbital motion of the space station create unique challenges for real-time conversations and coordination between crew members and ground-based personnel. These delays, while typically short, can affect the flow of conversations and require communication protocols that account for the time lag between questions and responses. The experience of managing communication delays in space operations has influenced communication protocols for other applications where signal delays create coordination challenges. Ground station networks around the world provide the terrestrial infrastructure needed to maintain continuous communication contact with the orbiting space station as it moves around the planet. These ground stations must be precisely coordinated to hand off communication responsibilities as the station passes from one coverage area to another, creating seamless communication coverage despite the station's rapid orbital motion. The international cooperation required for maintaining these ground station networks demonstrates how space operations depend on collaborative Earthbound infrastructure. Bandwidth limitations and signal quality variations affect the types of communication activities that are possible at different times, with some activities requiring high-quality connections, while others can function with more limited bandwidth. The prioritization of communication activities must balance operational needs, scientific requirements, and crew personal communication desires within the constraints of available bandwidth and signal quality. These bandwidth management challenges have influenced the development of communication protocols and data compression technologies used in various applications. Communication security measures protect sensitive operational information and personal communications from unauthorized access, while ensuring that crew members can communicate privately with family members and confidential information can be transmitted securely between the station and ground facilities. The security protocols developed for space communication systems must balance accessibility with protection while operating across international boundaries and multiple communication networks. These security measures have influenced communication security protocols used in various other applications. Personal communication scheduling allows crew members to maintain contact with family and friends through planned communication windows that accommodate orbital mechanics, ground station availability, and crew work schedules. The psychological importance of maintaining personal relationships through regular communication cannot be overstated for crew members who may spend many months separated from their Earthbound support networks. These personal communication opportunities often become highlights of crew members' daily routines and important factors in maintaining morale throughout long missions. Technical support communication enables ground-based engineering and technical teams to provide real-time assistance for equipment problems, procedure modifications, and troubleshooting activities that may arise during space station operations. The ability to quickly consult with technical experts on Earth can be crucial for resolving problems that could affect crew safety or mission success, while contributing to the continuous learning and improvement of space operations. These technical support communication capabilities have influenced remote technical support systems used in various Earthbound applications. Public communication activities allow astronauts to share their experiences with schools, media organizations, and other public audiences through live communication events that inspire and educate people around the world about space exploration. These public communication activities serve important outreach and education functions, while helping justify public investment in space exploration through direct engagement with taxpayers and future generations of explorers. The public communication capabilities of space missions have influenced approaches to science communication and public engagement in various fields. International communication coordination requires careful management of communication resources shared among multiple countries and space agencies, while ensuring that each partner nation has appropriate access to communication capabilities for their crew members and mission objectives. The protocols developed for managing international communication sharing have influenced approaches to international resource sharing and coordination in various other collaborative endeavors. These coordination mechanisms demonstrate how shared communication resources can support complex international partnerships. Communication equipment maintenance aboard the space station requires crew members to understand and maintain sophisticated radio, computer, and networking equipment that enables their connection to Earth while troubleshooting problems that could isolate them from ground-based support. The reliability of communication equipment becomes crucial for both operational effectiveness and crew psychological well-being, making equipment maintenance a high-priority activity for crew members. The maintenance procedures developed for space communication equipment have influenced maintenance protocols for critical communication systems in various Earthbound applications. Archive and documentation systems preserve communication records and data transmissions that provide historical records of space station operations while supporting post-mission analysis and lessons learned activities. The systematic documentation of communication activities contributes to the continuous improvement of space operations while creating historical records that benefit future missions and research activities. These documentation systems have influenced approaches to operational record-keeping and knowledge management in various other complex operations. And as these invisible threads of communication drift gently through your thoughts, like radio waves connecting distant worlds, we continue our peaceful journey through the remarkable ways that human ingenuity maintains the bonds between Earth and space, ensuring that even in the vast emptiness between worlds, no one travels alone in the infinite cosmic sea that surrounds our small blue island of life and dreams. The final preparations for returning to Earth begin months before astronauts actually leave their orbital home, as bodies that have adapted to weightlessness must slowly readjust to the prospect of once again feeling gravity's familiar embrace. The transition from space dweller back to Earth inhabitant requires careful planning, gradual preparation, and acceptance that the person who returns will be fundamentally changed by their time among the stars. Physical conditioning intensifies as return dates approach, with exercise routines modified to help bones and muscles remember their earthbound responsibilities. Psychological preparation for Earth return involves processing the profound experiences of space living while beginning to imagine resuming terrestrial routines that may seem strange after months of orbital existence. Many astronauts report that the prospect of returning to Earth creates mixed emotions of excitement and anxiety as they anticipate reuniting with loved ones, while wondering how they'll adapt to the weight and limitations of gravity-bound existence. The counseling and support systems that help prepare astronauts for return often focus on managing expectations and preparing for the adjustment challenges that await. Packing personal items for return requires difficult decisions about which mementos and personal possessions will accompany astronauts back to Earth, as weight and space limitations mean that many items acquired or created during space missions must be left behind. The process of choosing what to keep and what to abandon often becomes emotionally significant, as these decisions reflect what astronauts consider most important from their transformative space experience. Some personal items may return on later cargo flights, while others become permanent residents of the orbital laboratory. Medical monitoring intensifies as return dates approach, with additional tests and examinations designed to assess how well astronauts' bodies have adapted to space and what challenges they may face during readaptation to Earth's gravity. These medical evaluations help ground-based medical teams prepare appropriate rehabilitation programs while contributing to research on human adaptation to space environments. The medical data collected during the return transition period provides valuable insights into how human bodies respond to gravitational changes. Equipment shutdown and storage procedures require astronauts to carefully secure or deactivate research equipment, personal systems, and other station components that will no longer be needed after their departure. These procedures ensure that equipment remains safe for future crews while preventing problems that could affect ongoing station operations. The systematic approach to equipment transition reflects the continuous nature of space station operations, where departing crew members prepare systems for their successors. Knowledge transfer activities involve departing astronauts sharing their experience, insights, and practical knowledge with incoming crew members who will continue the work of maintaining and operating the orbital laboratory. These knowledge transfer sessions often include informal tips and observations that aren't captured in official procedures, but can significantly affect the quality of life and work effectiveness for future crews. The institutional memory preserved through these knowledge transfers helps maintain continuity across crew rotations. Final scientific activities may include completing ongoing experiments, collecting final data samples, or preparing research materials for return to Earth-based laboratories, where detailed analysis will continue after the astronaut's departure. These final research activities often represent the culmination of months of careful work and observation, with results that may contribute to scientific understanding for years to come. The transition of research responsibilities from departing to incoming crew members requires careful coordination to ensure continuity of ongoing studies. Spacecraft preparation for departure involves thorough inspection and testing of the vehicle that will carry astronauts back through Earth's atmosphere, with particular attention to heat shields, life support systems, and other critical components that must function perfectly during the dangerous journey home. These preparation activities reflect the fact that returning to Earth is actually more dangerous than leaving it, as spacecraft must survive the intense heat and stress of atmospheric re-entry. The careful attention to spacecraft preparation demonstrates the engineering challenges involved in safely transitioning between space and Earth environments. Communication scheduling intensifies as departure approaches, with increased opportunities for crew members to speak with family, mission control, and media representatives who want to capture their thoughts and experiences before they leave their orbital home. These final communications often take on special significance as astronauts attempt to articulate experiences that may be difficult to express in words while preparing emotionally for their return to Earth. The increased communication activity reflects both operational needs and public interest in the astronauts' experiences and perspectives. Weather monitoring for landing sites becomes crucial as departure dates approach, since spacecraft returning to Earth must land in areas with acceptable weather conditions that won't endanger crew safety during the final phases of their journey home. The coordination between space operations and meteorological services demonstrates how space missions depend on Earth-based support systems even during the final moments of orbital flights. Weather delays can extend missions by days or weeks, requiring flexibility and patience from crew members ready to return home. Crew replacement coordination involves complex scheduling and preparation activities that ensure smooth transition between departing and incoming astronauts, while maintaining continuous operation of the space station's essential systems and research programs. These crew rotation activities require international coordination, careful timing, and extensive planning to minimize disruption to ongoing operations. The seamless crew transitions that occur regularly aboard the space station demonstrate the maturity and sophistication of human space operations. And now, as your breathing grows slower and your thoughts drift like astronauts floating gently through their dreams, we've traveled together through the extraordinary tapestry of life beyond our world. From the careful rhythms of morning routines in weightlessness to the profound silence of spacewalks, from the taste of recycled water to the view of 15 sunrises painting the curved horizon with light, You've discovered how these remarkable humans adapt, survive, and find wonder in an environment that transforms every simple act into conscious grace. In their floating laboratories among the stars, they carry with them all the hopes and curiosities of our small blue world, proving that no matter how far we venture into the cosmic dark, we remain beautifully, persistently human. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler. We remain beautifully, persistently human. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler.